Hello and welcome to Wine Vault TV, New Zealand's most passionate wine program. And today we've got another very special guest. We just had the kind of, obviously, the Hell's Pizza guys yesterday, and today we got Jayson Flitter from Zendesk. Do you want to give the kind of audience a bit of a kind of rundown about what Zendesk is? Because I'm pretty sure not that many people have heard of it, other than being associated with you.
Right, well, Zendesk is one of the finest help desk applications that are around at the moment. Twitter uses it as its help desk software. MSNBC, a bunch of other, all sorts of different companies, right through from schools to churches to IT service providers. All sorts of companies are using it to basically manage all the conversations that are happening around their business, around their brand, pulling them all together, creating tickets, and then managing those conversations within their team so they get dealt with as quickly as possible.
So how did you get into it?
How did I get into it?
Well, it's quite a unique, strange kind of thing to get into.
Right, well, I got made redundant in November last year, and after a couple of weeks sitting in the sun, I decided to jump on LinkedIn, and I searched for Zendesk on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I found Michael, who was in Hong Kong.
So were you already a kind of tech kind of...
No, I'm a customer service person.
Right, okay.
And I trialled Zendesk before my previous job, so I kind of knew who they were. And I messaged Michael and said, hey, I'm not doing anything, what are you guys up to? Looks like you're doing some interesting stuff, how can I get on board? 2 minutes later, he came back with a message. Here's my Skype username, give me a call. So I talked to him for about an hour and a half.
Wow.
A couple of days later, I had a proposal back to them with some work that we wanted to do, and I started working for them, and I'm still here.
What were you doing? You were doing customer service before that for...
So I was working at fishpond.co.nz and .com.au as the customer services manager for them. They're a bookstore. Yeah. And so I trialled it there, so I kind of had a little bit of a feeling for what they were doing.
Yeah.
And now, of course, it's just exploded, and there's loads of people using the software around the world there. In New Zealand and Australia, we've got a whole bunch of companies here who are really getting involved in the community online, who are getting involved in LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter with us, and helping us to develop the software as well. Just delivering good help desk karma, basically.
And you've got obviously a passion for wine as well.
I've had a passion for wine for a long time.
And what do you normally drink?
Red. Well, we've got red here, and that's what I used to drink all the time.
Yeah.
And it's only been recently that I actually started, drinking a little bit of white.
Right. Okay.
So yeah.
What's your ultimate drink?
What's my ultimate drink?
Your ultimate wine.
Oh, my ultimate wine would be probably either a nice Chardonnay from Hawke's Bay or an Otago Pinot.
Well, okay. And
quite big. I don't like anything kind of watery or anything like that. Like big, full flavoured, meaty, reds that are, succulent. And
also, I've got to say that you're going to do it. Just mention briefly while we're going to do some wine. HustleFest.
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about HustleFest. There's very interesting stuff happening there at the moment.
Yeah, which is what I'm kind of interested in to actually find out what it's all about. But we'll start off, we're doing the Kate Campbell 08 Marlborough Pinot Noir. Now, Pinot Noir for me it's my kind of holy grail, I guess. If I can find a decent Pinot Noir, I'm in heaven.
Likewise.
I really like nice, light, balanced, texturally kind of massive, but still delicate Pinot Noirs. And I always struggle with Central Otago, ironically.
Yeah?
Yeah. What do you get off the nose? I get a kind of a smokiness off that nose. A kind of sour cherries, kind of.
Definitely have that strong cherries coming through, and
I get a kind
it's quite light on the nose.
I get
delicate.
That has a distinct sense of oak for me on that nose. A toasty kind of oak, and almost a mealy kind of oaty character, as well as my red fruit.
I'm going to drink that. It's beautiful. Really crisp on the finish right in there.
Crisp, yeah. It's quite dry, and we've got some good tannin.
Yeah.
It's got some pretty good acid and structure there.
It's got some legs too.
It's quite long as well for me, and I can still taste it.
The aftertaste is.
I always thought, for me, kind of like Cape Campbell was always a wine I'd associated with kind of like export and stuff like that. Also, Marlborough gets dissed kind of so much about kind of like its Pinot Noir, even though it's the biggest area of kind of for Pinot Noir. Most of it gets turned into kind of method, kind of traditional and bubbly and stuff like that. So kind of it gets neglected quite a bit, and everybody associated with being Sauvignon.
Right. But where's like Campbell? How's it grown? Is it? I mean, obviously, in Marlborough, it's going to be up on the hills. There is it kind of.
Well, you got
a lot of good drainage there.
You've got really good drainage, and kind of like you've got some. I mean, it's one of the hottest, driest places in New Zealand. Like, and you get a lot of sunshine hours. So you get ripe fruit. And you've got
you can taste that coming through.
You've got those kind of that Wairau kind of plains, and you've got the Wairau Valley, and you've got the arbitrary. So kind of they all give different components and textures and flavours in a wine. And so and this is. I mean, I think it's been around this vineyard in Cape Campbell itself since probably about 1980. These kind of grapes come from.
Oh, look, it's very, very drinkable. It is quite light in colour and that sort of thing.
And what would you rate it?
What
would you rate it?
For a Pinot, for me, I'd be getting 85 plus. I mean, I think it's pretty nice. I think you could probably eat it with a lot of different food. Like it's still probably your red meats and that sort of thing. Maybe a good Scotch fillet or something like that.
I think you're right. I think it would hold up to a Scotch fillet.
Yeah. Definitely would achieve that. But it's certainly got appeal for me for drinking that for all sorts of things, or just on its own even, or with some antipasto and cheese and that sort of thing as well.
It's just that hint of oak that is unsettling me, so I'd probably score it the same as you, probably about 85 points. Right, now you can talk about
score.
Now you can talk about HustleFest.
HustleFest.
Just while I'm doing this.
HustleFest is it's an idea that came up with James Stewart from MadeFromNewZealand.com and a few of the lads there. And what we wanted to do was a place or a social media portal, if you like, where young, creative, innovative people from different industries around New Zealand and potentially around the world can congregate, can create their own blogs, can network together, can read what other people are writing about, can talk about interesting stuff that's important to them in terms of things that they're doing innovatively and using collaboration or open source business or anything like that. Not necessarily in the social media context, it might be in a science or education field or in government or any of those sorts of areas. But the whole idea is to be able to bring all those people together so we can start solving some problems or creating something new to fill a gap, or just for us to come together